Welcome back. Imagine reaching into your pocket and pulling out a simple penny worth just 1 cent. Now imagine that same penny catching the attention of collectors across America and selling for hundreds, thousands, or even more because of a tiny detail most people never notice. It sounds unbelievable, but for some 1971 Lincoln pennies with no mint mark, that possibility is very real. The 1971 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is one of those coins that many people have handled without giving it a second thought. Millions were spent on everyday purchases, dropped into piggy banks, and forgotten in jars and drawers. Yet hidden among those ordinary pennies are examples that have become highly desirable to collectors. To understand why this coin attracts so much attention today, we need to go back to 1971. America was experiencing major social and economic changes. The Vietnam War was still ongoing. Space exploration continued to inspire the nation, and everyday prices were beginning to rise. Through all of it, the Lincoln cent remained one of the most familiar coins in circulation. The Lincoln penny itself had already been around for more than 60 years. First introduced in 1909 to honor President Abraham Lincoln, it became the first regular United States coin to feature a real historical figure. By 1971, Americans had grown up seeing Lincoln's face on the front of the cent. The 1971 penny with no mint mark was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. During that time, Philadelphia cents normally did not carry a mint mark. That means the absence of a mint mark is actually expected for most 1971 pennies. While millions were produced, certain examples stand out because of condition, unusual varieties, and minting mistakes. On the front of the coin, collectors will see Abraham Lincoln facing right. Above his head is the national motto, "In God We Trust." The word liberty appears to the left, while the date 1971 sits on the right side. It is a design that has become one of the most recognized images in American history. Turn the coin over and you'll find the Lincoln Memorial design. This reverse design was introduced in 1959 to celebrate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. If you look carefully, Lincoln's statue can actually be seen inside the memorial. This tiny detail made the coin unique because Lincoln appeared on both sides of the same coin. The 1971 penny was struck primarily from an alloy containing about 95% copper and 5% zinc. Because of its high copper content, the coin has a rich reddish appearance when well preserved. Collectors often separate these pennies into color categories. Red examples with original mint luster are usually worth more than coins that have turned brown over decades of circulation. At first glance, the 1971 no mint mark penny may seem common. After all, more than 1 billion were produced in Philadelphia alone. But coin collecting is not just about how many were made. It is also about survival, quality, and unusual characteristics. Most 1971 pennies entered circulation immediately. They passed through countless hands, cash registers, vending machines, and bank rolls. As years passed, many became scratched, worn, stained, or damaged. Finding a perfectly preserved example today is far more difficult than finding an ordinary circulated coin. This is where condition becomes extremely important. A 1971 penny that looks nearly new can command significantly higher prices than one that spent decades in circulation. Collectors often compete for the finest examples because there are far fewer of them available. Another reason collectors pay attention to this coin is the possibility of mint errors and varieties. During the minting process, mistakes occasionally occurred. These mistakes create unique coins that can become valuable because they are different from the standard issue. One of the most talked about varieties associated with the 1971 Lincoln cent is the doubled die obverse. On these coins, parts of the design appear doubled because of a misalignment during the die creation process. Collectors look closely at the lettering and date for signs of doubling. Genuine examples can attract strong interest in the marketplace. There are also other mint errors that collectors search for. Off-center strikes occur when a blank coin is not properly positioned during striking. The result is a design that is shifted away from the center. Depending on the severity of the error, these coins can become quite desirable. Some collectors hunt for clipped planchets. These are coins struck on metal blanks that were not perfectly shaped before striking. Others search for die cracks, die breaks, or unusual strike characteristics. While not every error is valuable, unusual examples often bring premiums far above face value. Many people wonder whether a regular 1971 no-mint mark penny can actually be worth money. The answer depends heavily on condition. A heavily worn coin may only be worth a few cents to a collector. However, an uncirculated coin with strong original color can be worth considerably more. Professional grading services have documented examples that sold for impressive amounts because of their exceptional preservation. High-grade red specimens have sold for hundreds and, in some cases, thousands of dollars. The reason is simple. While millions were made, very few survived in top condition. Collectors often compare coin collecting to treasure hunting. The treasure is not always hidden in ancient shipwrecks or buried chests. Sometimes it is sitting quietly in an old coin album, a forgotten bankroll, or a family collection passed down through generations. There have been numerous reports over the years of people discovering valuable Lincoln cents in ordinary places. A coin that seemed completely ordinary at first glance turned out to be a scarce variety or a remarkably well-preserved example. Stories like these keep collectors searching. If you own a 1971 no-mint mark penny and want to examine it, start with the basics. Look at the date and confirm it reads 1971. Check the area beneath the date. If there is no mint mark, the coin was produced in Philadelphia, which is normal for that year. Next, inspect the overall condition. Is Lincoln's portrait sharp and detailed? Are the letters crisp? Does the coin retain its original reddish color? The more original detail and luster a coin has, the greater its potential collector interest. A magnifying glass can be helpful when looking for doubling or other unusual features. Pay close attention to the inscriptions and numbers. Genuine double die varieties often show clear and consistent doubling rather than random damage. Be careful not to confuse damage with mint errors. Scratches, dents, corrosion, and machine damage can sometimes create the illusion of something rare. Experienced collectors study known varieties and compare their coins with verified examples before reaching conclusions. Another important point is authenticity. Because valuable coins attract attention, counterfeit examples sometimes appear in the marketplace. Fortunately, most fake 1971 pennies can be detected through careful examination. Weight, color, strike quality, and design details all provide clues. Professional grading companies offer authentication and grading services for collectors who believe they have an important coin. These services help establish authenticity and condition, making it easier to determine market value. One surprising fact about the 1971 penny is that its copper content alone attracts interest. Modern pennies contain far less copper than those produced before the major composition change in the early 1980s. Many collectors appreciate older copper cents because they represent a different era of American coinage. Another interesting detail involves the Lincoln Memorial reverse. For decades, Americans carried a tiny image of one of the nation's most famous monuments in their pockets without giving it much thought. Yet the artistry and symbolism behind the design remain remarkable. The Lincoln cent also serves as a historical timeline. Every date tells a story about America during that year. A 1971 penny connects collectors directly to the early 1970s, a period filled with political change, technological advancement, and cultural transformation. Some collectors focus exclusively on Lincoln cents. They build date and mint collections that include every year and variety. For these enthusiasts, the 1971 no-mint mark penny represents an important piece of a much larger historical puzzle. Others are drawn to the excitement of finding errors. The possibility that a small detail could transform an ordinary coin into a valuable collectible creates a sense of adventure. Every roll of pennies becomes an opportunity for discovery. Even young collectors often begin their journey with Lincoln cents because they are affordable and easy to find. Many lifelong numismatists trace their interest back to searching through pocket change for unusual pennies. The enduring popularity of the 1971 no-mint mark Lincoln penny comes from this combination of history, accessibility, and mystery. It is a coin almost everyone has seen, yet few people truly examine. Hidden among countless ordinary examples may be a coin with exceptional condition, a rare variety, or a fascinating mint error. That possibility keeps collectors looking year after year. It transforms a simple 1-cent coin into a miniature piece of American history and a potential treasure waiting to be discovered. So the next time you come across an old jar of pennies, don't rush past the coins from 1971. Take a closer look. Check the details. Examine the condition. You never know what might be hiding in plain sight. After all, some of the most valuable discoveries in coin collecting begin with a coin that everyone else ignored. And somewhere out there, a 1971 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny may still be waiting for the person who recognizes its true significance. Wash a quarter. What if I told you that a simple penny sitting in a forgotten jar, an old drawer, or a dusty coin collection could be worth far more than 1 cent? Most people would never look twice at a 1972 Lincoln penny without a mint mark. After all, millions were made. But hidden among ordinary coins are examples that have captured the attention of collectors for decades. Some have sold for hundreds, even thousands of dollars, and the reason might surprise you. The 1972 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny is one of those coins that proves treasures can still be hiding in plain sight. At first glance, it looks like an everyday cent. But when collectors take a closer look, they discover a fascinating story involving American history, rare minting mistakes, and the excitement of finding something special where nobody expected it. The Lincoln cent has been a part of American life since 1909. It was introduced to honor Abraham Lincoln, becoming the first regular United States coin to feature a real person. By 1972, the Lincoln penny was already one of the most familiar coins in circulation. Millions of Americans used these pennies every day to buy groceries, pay for small items, or simply toss into a pocket without a second thought. The year 1972 was an interesting time in America. The country was experiencing major political and social changes. Television was becoming a bigger part of daily life, space exploration continued to inspire the world, and the economy was evolving rapidly. Through all of this, the United States Mint continued producing billions of coins to meet the needs of commerce. The Philadelphia Mint was responsible for producing a large number of Lincoln cents in 1972. Unlike coins from some other mint locations, Philadelphia pennies of that era usually did not carry a mint mark. That means if you look at a normal 1972 penny and do not see a letter below the date, you are looking at a Philadelphia issue. More than 4 billion 1972 Lincoln cents were struck at Philadelphia. Because so many were made, most examples are extremely common and worth only a small amount above face value. However, the story does not end there. Certain varieties and error coins from this year have become legendary among collectors. The design of the 1972 Lincoln penny is simple yet iconic. On the front or obverse, you will find the portrait of Abraham Lincoln facing right. Above his head appears the national motto, "In God We Trust." The word liberty is located to the left, while the date 1972 appears on the right side. On the reverse, the coin features the famous Lincoln Memorial design. This design was introduced in 1959 to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. If you look carefully at the memorial, you can actually see a tiny image of Lincoln seated inside the building. It is one of the smallest portraits ever included on a circulating American coin. The coin itself is made primarily of copper, with a small amount of zinc mixed into the metal. It weighs approximately 3.11 grams and has a diameter of about 19 millimeters. These specifications remained standard for Lincoln cents until the major composition change that occurred in the early 1980s. What truly makes some 1972 no-mint Mark pennies special is the possibility of finding rare minting errors. The most famous of all is the 1972 double die obverse variety. This error occurred during the coin production process when the design was accidentally impressed onto the die more than once in slightly different positions. As a result, some details on the finished coin appear doubled. The doubling is especially noticeable in the date, the word liberty, and the phrase "In God We Trust." Unlike minor machine doubling, which can appear on many coins and often carries little value, true double die examples show strong and dramatic doubling that is visible even without magnification. When collectors first discovered the 1972 double die obverse penny, excitement spread quickly throughout the coin collecting community. It became one of the most famous Lincoln cent varieties ever produced and remains highly sought after today. Depending on condition, authentic examples can command impressive prices. A circulated specimen may sell for hundreds of dollars. Better preserved coins often bring thousands. High-grade examples with strong details and original surfaces can achieve even higher values at auction. One well-preserved example sold for several $1,000s, while top-quality specimens certified by major grading services have reached values far beyond what most people would expect from a 1-cent coin. These sales demonstrate how a small production mistake can transform an ordinary penny into a prized collectible. Even regular 1972 no-mint mark pennies can have value if they are found in exceptional condition. Coins that were never used in circulation and still display their original mint luster often attract collector interest. The better the preservation, the greater the potential value. Collectors also search for other unusual errors from 1972. Off-center strikes, die cracks, clipped planchets, and other minting anomalies occasionally appear. While not all errors are worth a fortune, unusual examples can bring substantial premiums compared to normal coins. Because valuable varieties exist, it is important to know how to identify a genuine coin. The first step is checking the date carefully. If you suspect a double die variety, examine the numbers in the date and the lettering on the front of the coin. Strong doubling should appear as clear, separate images rather than simple blurriness. Many collectors use a magnifying glass or coin loupe to inspect these details. The doubling should be obvious and consistent across several design elements. If the coin appears suspiciously altered or damaged, professional authentication may be necessary. Weight is another useful clue. A genuine 1972 Lincoln penny should weigh close to 3.11 grams. Significant differences could indicate damage, alteration, or counterfeit issues. Measuring the diameter and examining the edge can also help verify authenticity. Professional grading companies play an important role in today's coin market. These organizations examine coins for authenticity, assign a grade based on condition, and encapsulate them in protective holders. Certified coins often command stronger prices because buyers have confidence in the evaluation. One fascinating fact about the 1972 Lincoln penny is how many people may have unknowingly spent valuable examples. Since these coins circulated widely, countless pieces passed through cash registers, vending machines, and piggy banks over the decades. Some rare varieties may still be hiding in collections that have never been carefully examined. Another interesting detail involves the Lincoln Memorial reverse. The tiny image of Lincoln seated inside the memorial is so small that many people never notice it. Yet it represents an impressive achievement in coin design and engraving. The popularity of Lincoln cents also makes them one of the most collected coin series in the United States. Many collectors begin their hobby by searching through pocket change, looking for older dates, unusual varieties, or coins in exceptional condition. The 1972 no-mint mark penny remains one of the dates that encourages people to keep searching. There is also the thrill of the hunt. Unlike some rare coins that disappeared long ago into private collections, certain 1972 varieties occasionally appear in everyday holdings. A forgotten coin album, inherited collection, or old coin jar might still contain a valuable discovery. Collectors love this penny because it combines accessibility with excitement. Almost anyone can find a 1972 penny, but finding a rare variety is another story entirely. That possibility keeps collectors interested year after year. The coin also serves as a reminder that rarity is not always about low production numbers. Sometimes a coin becomes valuable because of a mistake, a special variety, or extraordinary preservation. The 1972 double die obverse is a perfect example of this principle. Today, demand for important Lincoln cent varieties remains strong. Auction records continue to demonstrate the enthusiasm of collectors who appreciate these historic pieces. Whether someone is a beginner or an experienced numismatist, the 1972 no-mint mark penny offers a fascinating combination of history, mystery, and potential value. So the next time you come across an old penny, take a moment before tossing it aside. Look closely at the date. Examine the lettering. Check for unusual details. What appears to be a simple 1-cent coin could hold a remarkable story and perhaps even surprising value. The 1972 no-mint mark Lincoln penny reminds us that extraordinary discoveries often come from the most ordinary places. Hidden among billions of coins is a piece of history that continues to capture the imagination of collectors around the world. And somewhere, perhaps in a jar, a drawer, or an old collection waiting to be explored, another valuable example may still be waiting to be found. Have you ever looked at a simple penny and wondered if it could be worth hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of dollars? Most people would never think twice about a coin sitting in a jar, a drawer, or a pocket. But hidden among millions of ordinary pennies is one coin that continues to surprise collectors decades after it was made. That coin is the 1973 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. At first glance, it looks like an ordinary 1-cent coin. Nothing about it seems special. It carries the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the front and the Lincoln Memorial on the back. Millions of Americans used these pennies every day during the 1970s. They bought candy, newspapers, and cups of coffee. Most were spent without a second thought. Yet today, certain examples of the 1973 no-mint mark Lincoln penny have become highly sought-after collectibles. Some have sold for far more than their face value, leaving many people wondering if they might have a valuable treasure hiding in their spare change. To understand why this coin attracts so much attention, we need to travel back to 1973. America was going through a fascinating period in its history. The country was experiencing major cultural and economic changes. The space race had captured imaginations, technology was advancing, and inflation was becoming a growing concern. Through all of this, the United States Mint continued producing billions of coins to meet the needs of everyday commerce. The Lincoln cent had already been part of American life for more than 6 decades. First introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, it became one of the most recognizable coins in the nation. In 1973, pennies were struck at several mint facilities. Coins produced in Philadelphia generally carried no mint mark. That means if you see a 1973 penny without a letter beneath the date, it was most likely made at the Philadelphia Mint. The Philadelphia Mint produced an enormous number of pennies that year. More than 6 billion Lincoln cents were struck there alone. Because of this huge production, many people assume that every 1973 no-mint mark penny is common and worthless. But coin collecting is rarely that simple. The value of a coin depends on much more than how many were originally made. Condition, rarity, minting mistakes, and collector demand all play major roles. The 1973 Lincoln penny was made primarily from copper. Its composition was 95% copper and 5% zinc. The coin weighs approximately 3.11 grams and has the classic reddish appearance that many people associate with older pennies. On the front, or obverse side, appears the famous portrait of Abraham Lincoln. This design was created by sculptor Victor David Brenner and had been used since 1909. Above Lincoln's head is the motto, "In God We Trust." The word liberty appears to the left, while the date 1973 is shown on the right. The reverse side features the Lincoln Memorial. This design was introduced in 1959 to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. If you look carefully at the memorial, you can actually see a tiny representation of Lincoln seated inside the building. It is one of the smallest portraits ever included on a circulating American coin. While billions of these pennies were produced, collectors pay close attention to examples that survived in exceptional condition. Most pennies enter circulation and quickly develop scratches, marks, and discoloration. Every trip through a cash register, vending machine, or pocket leaves signs of wear. After years of circulation, many coins become heavily worn. However, a small number of 1973 no-mint mark pennies escaped heavy use. These coins retained their original mint luster and sharp details. Because pristine examples are much harder to find, collectors are willing to pay significant premiums for them. But condition is only part of the story. One of the most exciting aspects of coin collecting is the search for errors and varieties. Minting errors occur when something unusual happens during the production process. Sometimes a die develops a defect. Sometimes a coin is struck improperly. These mistakes can transform an ordinary coin into a collector's prize. Certain 1973 Lincoln pennies have been discovered with doubled features. This occurs when parts of the design appear duplicated. Letters, numbers, or design elements may show noticeable doubling under magnification. Authentic double-die varieties are highly desirable because they were created during the minting process itself. Other examples display off-center strikes, where the design appears shifted away from the center of the coin. The more dramatic the shift, the more attention such coins often receive from collectors. There are also pennies with die cracks, clipped planchets, and other unusual characteristics. While not every error is valuable, some can command impressive prices depending on rarity and visual appeal. So how much can a 1973 no-mint mark Lincoln penny actually be worth? For an average circulated example, the value is usually modest. Many are worth only a few cents above face value. However, the story changes dramatically when condition improves. High-grade, uncirculated examples can sell for much more than ordinary pennies. Professional grading services evaluate coins based on their condition, and the finest surviving examples often bring the highest prices. Over the years, exceptional specimens have sold for hundreds and even thousands of dollars at auction. Coins with rare error varieties can reach even higher levels depending on demand and rarity. One particularly well-preserved 1973 Lincoln cent certified in an elite condition grade sold for several $1,000s. These results demonstrate how important preservation can be in the world of coin collecting. Imagine finding a penny worth thousands of dollars in a forgotten collection. That possibility is one reason collectors continue searching through old jars, rolls, and inherited coin boxes. Of course, whenever money is involved, there are people who attempt to create counterfeits or altered coins. Knowing how to identify a genuine 1973 no-mint mark penny is extremely important. The first step is examining the date carefully. Altered coins sometimes have dates modified to resemble more valuable varieties. Use a magnifying glass to inspect the numbers and look for signs of tampering. Next, check the weight. A genuine 1973 copper Lincoln cent should weigh about 3.11 grams. Significant differences could indicate damage, alteration, or a counterfeit. Also examine the surface. Authentic coins display natural wear patterns and original mint characteristics. Artificially altered coins often show unusual textures, filing marks, or inconsistent details. Collectors frequently rely on professional grading services for authentication. These organizations use specialized equipment and expert analysis to determine whether a coin is genuine and accurately graded. Beyond its potential value, the 1973 Lincoln penny has several fascinating features that many people never notice. For example, the Lincoln Memorial reverse contains one of the tiniest depictions ever placed on a U.S. coin. If your eyesight is sharp or you use magnification, you can spot Lincoln sitting inside the memorial. Another interesting fact is that pennies from this era contain far more copper than modern cents. Today, most Lincoln cents are primarily zinc with a thin copper coating. Many collectors enjoy older copper pennies because they represent a different era of American coinage. The 1973 penny also serves as a time capsule. Every coin from that year passed through a nation experiencing significant historical events. Each penny may have traveled across countless states, changed hands thousands of times, and witnessed decades of American history. Collectors love stories like these. A coin is more than metal. It is a physical connection to the past. For many hobbyists, the appeal of the 1973 no-mint mark penny lies in the thrill of discovery. Because so many were produced, examples still appear in old collections and coin rolls. Every search carries the possibility of finding a high-grade specimen or an overlooked error. Some collectors focus on assembling complete date and mint collections of Lincoln cents. Others search exclusively for varieties and minting mistakes. The 1973 penny fits naturally into both pursuits. Its affordability also makes it attractive to beginners. Unlike rare coins that cost thousands of dollars to acquire, many 1973 pennies remain accessible to new collectors. This allows people to learn grading, identification, and error detection without spending large sums of money. Yet even experienced collectors continue hunting for superior examples. The challenge of finding a coin with exceptional quality keeps interest alive year after year. Perhaps that is the most remarkable thing about the 1973 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny. A coin that was once worth only 1 cent can still generate excitement more than 50 years later. Millions were made. Millions were spent. Millions were forgotten. But a handful survived in extraordinary condition. Some carry fascinating minting errors. Others represent hidden treasures waiting to be discovered. The next time you receive change, take a closer look at the pennies in your hand. Examine the dates. Check for mint marks. Study the details. You never know what might be hiding in plain sight. That ordinary-looking penny sitting in a drawer could have a story stretching back decades. It could have traveled across the country, passed through countless hands, and survived generations of change. And if you're lucky, that small copper coin could be worth far more than anyone ever imagined. The search continues, and somewhere out there, another remarkable 1973 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny may still be waiting to be found. Welcome back. At first glance, it looks like nothing more than an ordinary penny. A small copper-colored coin that millions of Americans carried in their pockets during the 1970s. Most people would spend it without a second thought. But what if one particular 1974 Lincoln cent with a tiny S mint mark could be worth far more than 1 cent? What if a simple coin from everyday change held a fascinating story that collectors are still talking about decades later? The 1974 S Lincoln penny is one of those coins that proves that history can sometimes fit in the palm of your hand. While millions were produced, certain examples have become highly desirable among collectors. Some have sold for impressive amounts, while rare varieties and pristine specimens continue to attract attention in the coin collecting world. To understand why this coin matters, we first need to travel back to 1974. America was experiencing a period of change. The nation was dealing with economic uncertainty, rising inflation, and major political events that would shape history. Yet through all of this, the United States Mint continued producing coins for everyday commerce. Pennies remained an important part of daily life, and millions of them were struck every year. The 1974 Lincoln cent was produced at several mint facilities, including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The coins struck in San Francisco carried the distinctive S mint mark beneath the date on the front of the coin. Unlike many circulating pennies made at other facilities, the San Francisco Mint was primarily known for producing proof coins during this period. Proof coins were specially made for collectors using polished dies and carefully prepared planchets. These coins displayed sharper details and mirror-like surfaces compared to ordinary circulation coins. As a result, when collectors hear the term 1974 S penny, many immediately think of proof coins. However, there were also regular circulation quality coins produced at San Francisco during this era, making the story even more interesting. The design of the 1974 S Lincoln penny continued a tradition that had begun more than 6 decades earlier. On the front of the coin appears the portrait of President Abraham Lincoln. This iconic design was created by sculptor Victor David Brenner and first appeared on the Lincoln cent in 1909. Lincoln faces right, accompanied by the inscriptions "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date. The reverse side features the famous Lincoln Memorial design, introduced in 1959 to celebrate Lincoln's 150th birthday. This design shows the memorial in Washington, D.C. If you look closely at a well-preserved example, you can even see a tiny image of Lincoln seated inside the memorial. The coin itself was made primarily of copper. In 1974, Lincoln cents consisted of 95% copper and 5% zinc. This composition gives the coin its familiar reddish appearance and contributes to its appeal among collectors. A standard 1974 S Lincoln penny weighs approximately 3.11 grams and measures 19 millimeters in diameter. While these specifications may sound ordinary, they become extremely important when collectors examine coins for authenticity and potential rare varieties. One reason collectors pay attention to the 1974 S penny is the possibility of finding unusual errors and varieties. Coin errors occur during the manufacturing process. Sometimes a die develops imperfections. Other times a coin may be struck incorrectly. These mistakes can create unique pieces that stand out from the millions of normal examples. Among the most discussed varieties associated with 1974's proof sense is the double die. A double die occurs when elements of the design appear doubled due to the way the die was created. On certain examples, collectors may notice doubling in the lettering or numbers. Finding a genuine double die can significantly increase a coin's value because these varieties are much scarcer than regular coins. Another feature collectors watch for is cameo contrast on proof coins. Some 1974's proof cents display frosted design elements against highly reflective fields. When this contrast is especially strong, the coin may receive a deep cameo or ultra cameo designation from grading services. These examples are often worth considerably more than standard proofs. Condition is another major factor. Most 1974's pennies are common when heavily worn or damaged. But when a coin survives in nearly perfect condition, its value can increase dramatically. Collectors compete for the finest known examples because they represent the very best preservation of that year's production. A coin that appears ordinary to one person may be a treasure to another if it retains original color, sharp details, and flawless surfaces. So why exactly can some 1974's pennies be valuable? The answer comes down to rarity, condition, and collector demand. Millions of 1974's proof pennies were produced, meaning most examples remain affordable. Many can still be purchased for only a few dollars. However, not all proof coins are equal. Coins with exceptional eye appeal, perfect surfaces, and strong cameo contrast become increasingly difficult to find. As the quality rises, so does the value. Professional grading services evaluate coins using strict standards. The highest graded examples often command impressive prices because very few coins achieve those elite grades. Collectors are willing to pay substantial amounts for coins that rank among the finest known examples. In some cases, top-graded 1974's proof cents with deep cameo characteristics have sold for hundreds or even thousands of dollars at auction. Certain error varieties have also generated significant interest. Depending on rarity and condition, these coins may bring much higher prices than ordinary examples. This is what makes coin collecting so exciting. Two pennies that appear nearly identical at first glance can have dramatically different values. One might be worth a few cents. The other might be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Over the years, auction records have demonstrated how condition can transform the value of a coin. Average proof examples often sell for modest amounts. Yet premium certified examples with outstanding grades and attractive cameo surfaces can bring much stronger results. Collectors seeking registry quality sets frequently compete for these coins, driving prices upward. Rare varieties and unusual errors can also attract serious bidding when they appear at major auctions. The combination of scarcity and collector demand creates a market where exceptional pieces stand out from the crowd. Of course, not every 1974's penny is valuable. This is why learning how to identify a genuine example is important. The first thing to check is the mint mark. A genuine 1974's penny will have a small S beneath the date on the front of the coin. This indicates it was struck at the San Francisco Mint. Next, examine the overall appearance. Proof coins typically display mirror-like surfaces and very sharp details. The fields around the design should reflect light clearly, almost like a mirror. Collectors should also pay attention to weight and dimensions. Authentic examples should match official mint specifications. Significant differences could indicate damage, alteration, or a counterfeit. Magnification can be helpful when searching for varieties. A small magnifying glass may reveal details that are difficult to see with the naked eye. Professional grading services can provide additional confidence. These organizations authenticate coins, assign grades, and encapsulate them in protective holders. For valuable examples, certification often adds credibility and marketability. The story of the 1974's penny becomes even more fascinating when you consider some of the surprising facts surrounding Lincoln cents. For example, Lincoln was the first real person ever depicted on a regularly circulating United States coin. Before 1909, American coins typically featured symbolic figures rather than actual individuals. Another interesting fact is that billions of Lincoln cents have been produced since their introduction. Despite these enormous numbers, collectors continue searching through rolls, collections, and old coin jars hoping to discover something special. The Lincoln Memorial reverse used on the 1974 penny remained in service until 2008. That means generations of Americans grew up seeing this familiar design every day. The copper composition of the 1974 penny also connects it to an important chapter in coin history. Rising metal prices during the 1970s and early 1980s eventually led the mint to change the composition of the cent. In 1982, the coin shifted to a zinc core with a thin copper coating. As a result, many collectors enjoy owning pre-1982 cents because of their higher copper content. For collectors today, the 1974 penny represents several appealing qualities at once. It is affordable enough for beginners to acquire. It is historically connected to a fascinating era in American history. It offers opportunities to search for varieties and high-grade examples. And it remains part of the beloved Lincoln Cent series, one of the most widely collected coin programs in the United States. Some collectors focus on assembling complete date and mint mark sets. Others specialize in proof coins. Still others search specifically for errors and varieties. The 1974 penny fits comfortably into all of these collecting goals. Perhaps that is why this coin continues to attract attention even decades after it was struck. It serves as a reminder that value is not always obvious. Sometimes the most interesting treasures are hiding in plain sight. A small penny from 1974 may not seem remarkable at first glance. Yet behind that tiny mint mark lies a story of American history, mint craftsmanship, collector passion, and the endless hunt for rare discoveries. The next time you come across an old coin collection, a forgotten jar of pennies, or a box tucked away in an attic, take a closer look. You never know what might be waiting there. Maybe it will be an ordinary cent worth exactly 1 penny. Or maybe it will be a remarkable 1974 Lincoln cent with a story all its own. And that possibility is exactly what keeps collectors searching, learning, and wondering what hidden treasures may still be out there, waiting to be found. Wash a quarter.